laterally rise up into this area right in here, or it could fall down into this area down in here, okay? The sympathetic architecture allows this neuron to get out from the spinal cord and then go and link up with neurons all up and down the spinal column, okay? In light green, we are seeing what's called the postganglionic neurons. By the way, the little circle is a ganglion. Remember what a ganglion is? You probably could tell me about it because you took a test on it today. What is a ganglion? Some stout-hearted person? It is a grouping of outside of the CNS. Nerve cell bodies outside of the CNS. So I've got my preganglionic neuron coming into this ganglia, synapsing then with a postganglionic neuron in the ganglia, and then the postganglionic neuron goes out to the effector to carry the signal. Big difference we see here in purple. We see the sympathetic architecture. Pardon me, parasympathetic architecture. We don't see our preganglionic neurons down in the spinal cord. They're not there at all. The parasympathetic system that carries the impulses, that runs your body during times like this, rest and digest types of time periods, is all cranial and sacral. Okay? And you can see that there are preganglionic neurons in dark purple that then seem to be fairly long. They don't come out here in synapse close to the spinal cord and then go off from there. Instead, they come off the brainstem and the sacrum and have a pretty long axon and then go to actually the effector that they control and then synapse in a ganglia right in the effector wall. So in the parasympathetic side, the preganglionic fiber goes to, let's say, the gland, and then synapses with the postganglionic fiber right in the gland itself. Okay? So there's a difference there. That makes a difference then in how the two systems control. This one here, any neuron that enters into this grouping of ganglia here can send collateral axons all up and down the chain to synapse with postganglionic neurons along the way. If you remember that axons can be highly branched, in this system, the axons are highly branched and they can share their information. A single neuron can branch up and go up and down the chain and synapse with neurons up and down the chain. Why am I telling you this? The sympathetic system, when it turns on multiple activities at the same time. When you begin to exercise, you sweat, you slow down digestion, you slow down urine production, you increase heart rate, you increase respiration. The signals that are coming from the brain are being distributed up and down the system to turn on all these different effectors or to alter their rate. This is something that is referred to in some books as mass activation. And mass activation is something which the sympathetic system does well. There are two major reasons for mass activation. Neurons, preganglionic neurons in the system are highly branched, and they send their axons to multiple postganglionic neurons. And secondly, it mass activates because the architecture allows for sharing up and down the spinal cord, okay? If you look at this system here, this, by the way, you'll be learning about today in the laboratory, this is called the vagus nerve. And the axons that make up the vagus nerve come from the autonomic system and then go all the way out to their effector organ, without much branching along the way. They're not sharing their signal. What they're doing is controlling that particular effector organ by direct brain input. How is it different? One impulse can be shared up and down the chain. Here, one impulse is not so shared. Instead, the impulse goes and is directed to a particular effector to control it. Why does this work? Because you don't eat all the time during rest and digest. But when you do eat, we need to send more signals to the places that are responding to that eating. We don't need to activate your bladder just because you had a meal, okay? But when we exercise, we need to activate all of those things in order to deal with the demands of exercise. This system controls exercise. This system controls non-exercise periods. Last thing on this, you will see that there are organs listed, and these are all pretty much what we consider to be internal organs. No surprise, heart, lungs, okay? No surprise. On this side, we would be setting a normal pace to the heart, somewhere between, let's say, 55 and 65 beats per minute or so, maybe up to 75 beats per minute, okay? All right? We see the eye, we see the liver, gallbladder, we see the bladder, the genitals. This input would mean cause the liver to produce secretions that are helpful during times of rest and digest. We look over here and we see almost the same exact list, okay? What we also see on this side then is skin. And the sympathetic innervates the skin glands. It does, the parasympathetic does not. Okay? Do you have any questions on what you see here? This shows dual innervation. The heart is on this side and the heart is on this side. Sympathetic and parasympathetic fibers go to the heart. Okay? It's dual innervated. It also shows us some of our exceptions. Okay? What is a parasympathetic let's say, parasympathetic control over the eye? What does it do for the eye, you think?
Well, does that dilate?
Okay.
Or is that sympathetic?
Yeah, on the parasympathetic side.
If you get something in your eye twitching or...
That would probably be a little bit more reflex-oriented, okay? That would probably be on the sympathetic side rather than the parasympathetic.
Helps you focus your eye?
Very good, sir. Okay? You'll read about this, and then we'll be done, okay? When you're in rest and digest mode, the parasympathetic system will control the muscles that control the lens. During fight or flight, your eyes may dilate nice and wide, and your lens won't accommodate for close-up distance. The thought process is the survival benefit of dilating the eyes and making them better at seeing at a distance is that it's better for threat detection. Okay? When you are in rest and digest mode, the eyes will control the lenses so that you can see an object up close. Far vision is about 20 feet away. Far vision is what is being controlled in sympathetic stimulation. Close vision is controlled in parasympathetic rest and digest activities. The other thing is that the pupils will be controlled to allow in the proper amount of light, okay, by the parasympathetic system. When you are in fight or flight, the body does not care that much about whether or not the amount of light coming into the eye is proper. It just wants to see the big picture. Yes, ma'am?
So, does that like when you can't see, like I can't see far away if I take off my glasses, but I can see close up, does that have anything to do with it?
No.
Like,
No, it just means that you may have lens or abnormalities, you may have eyeball abnormalities, you may have other abnormalities that I can't see close up, I can't see far away, okay? But your body, during times of rest and digest, controls the eyes in such a way that you can do up-close work comfortably, okay? During fight or flight, the body does not make those adjustments. Just lets in as much of the visual field as possible so that you can deal with that, okay? All right, anything else then? We will pick up on the remainder of it on Monday. I'll have your test back for you. We'll finish